On today's episode of Dirt Dirty, we sit down with a fan from the stands to behind the wheel, Levi Broer. He not only scored himself a feature win in his rookie season, but he also scores the track championship at Thunderhill Speedway in the Legend cars. So let's dive into it. All right, well, welcome back to the Dirt Dirty Podcast, episode 2. We're here with Levi Broer.
Hello.
You're a longtime fan, obviously.
Yeah.
You bought Legend car? Just decided to go racing? Or?
Yeah, I still remember the phone call. Dad got the feather and the idea, and I thought he was crazy. And I was actually in the process of moving back to Wisconsin from South Dakota for the third time.
Third time, all right. It sounds like we'll have to get into that a little bit later.
He got the idea. I thought he was crazy. Actually, the day I moved, I was informed, oh yeah, by the way, we're getting up in the morning and going to Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And I knew right then and there what we were doing. The plan was to buy one car, and I would be the main driver and at times share it. And we got down there, and he wanted a coupe, I wanted a sedan, and
one of each was
sitting there. And we ended up with two, and held that secret from my stepmom for, I think it was a couple months.
Wow.
Until we actually went to go pick the cars up, and then there they were at the garage door when they pulled in. And here we are now with 3 cars. So Dad's in one, I'm in the one behind us. And then Kashadi, as you guys have seen in previous videos, are in the 67 car.
Okay, cool. Well, I guess let's just, I guess we kind of already started diving into things a little bit. What was your racing background?
Been a race fan my entire life. It's definitely very different over here in Wisconsin than South Dakota. Anymore, you don't really get the big shows of World Outlaws or any of that. That's outside of Huset's and the sprint cars, and they're one Lucas Oil show, which is always a great event to go to, but a lot of traveling just to go watch. Remember back in the day of traveling 5 hours just to go to the Wissota 100, watching the races and turn around and driving home after. So
it's a lot of drive time out there. You don't get the luxury of having.
Oh yeah, we're definitely spoiled over here with all the tracks within an hour.
Right. Yeah, I've talked to quite a few people that are we're in like the racing mother load, essentially. Like
for sure, there's a lot of times that do we want to go up here? Well, it's 2 hours. That's a ways more than what we're used to now.
Right. Like, what got you into the racing?
I would definitely say my dad.
Okay.
So, always dragging me to the races as a young kid, and remember many cold nights in Aberdeen watching the races, and I'm wanting to stay, and nope, we gotta leave.
All right.
You guys did like some push vehicle stuff too, didn't you?
Yep. Out at Black Hill Speedway in Rapid, there was the ASCS show coming to town, and the guy that was running the track put a Facebook post out, I believe it was, looking for extra push vehicles. And at the time we were running a rental company with side-by-sides on four-wheelers and you name it, we had it.
All right.
And ended up mocking up some push bumpers and went out, and thanks to Matt Covington and Blake Hahn, I think we pushed them around the pits all afternoon just to get used to it and
Right.
something new. And we did it for many years after that. So,
I mean, that's gonna be fun though.
oh yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, about imagine. So what made you said that your dad got you essentially into the legend cars?
Yep.
He just told you that you had to. What do you think sparked his? We're gonna go buy legend cars.
It's something we have talked about for many years. Of he's wanted to race forever.
Okay.
I've thought about it. There's just in the big cars, there's so much to them, and they're so expensive that it wasn't feasible.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, these are still expensive, but they're a lot less money than
They're not a $30,000 roller.
Exactly.
So yeah, he just pulled the trigger. And,
Yep, he seen the post on Facebook that Chad was adding them out at Thunder Hill, and he did his research and looking into them. And I've raced them before on iRacing before that ever was a thing, and I knew that they could be a handful. And that's a computer game. So
right? Yeah, they're definitely a handful.
I knew he was going to. I thought he was going to be in way over his head, but here we are.
Right. I mean, you guys did good. So, what was your biggest influences growing up in South Dakota?
Yeah, I remember back in the day, there were Kurt Gilling, Ken Armette, Lauren Johnson, and all those guys, and watching the rivalry, and Chad Becker, and that's all up in the A-mods and late models and all of that, but you never knew what was going to happen the night you went to the track.
Yep.
So
It makes it fun for sure.
Yep.
Makes it fun for sure. How did it feel to get behind the wheel for your first time?
it was a little nerve-wracking. There was plenty of times we were out down the county road and just trying to get used to feel a little bit, and clutch is really touchy in them, and getting used to that. But it was still definitely nerve-wracking, and obviously you don't want to go out and destroy it the very first time you get in it. So
Right.
not knowing really what to expect, and have a general idea with iRacing, but
Still not
there's only
live.
so much iRacing can do for you.
Right. Unless you have a full motion rig,
Yeah.
it's hard to feel the rolls
But
and the
even then, you're talking the price of that for one of them.
right. Exactly. So, what was the biggest surprise about the Legend car that you maybe thought was going to be totally different, and it wasn't, or whatever?
They're very touchy. Things happen very fast in them, especially at Thunder Hill.
The little bull ring.
But it wasn't as bad as I expected.
Okay.
I would definitely say that. But a lot of that's too is actually being in the car and experiencing that.
Right.
So
I know for me, I came from the go-karts where it was just hold it wide open,
yep.
and it just worked.
Yeah.
And then, I also drove, I drove a street stock, and I drove a B-mod. And my biggest thing was the lack of side bite. You know, you throw it into the corner and it was like there was nothing there.
Oh, yeah. especially in the middle at Thunder Hill.
Yeah.
It'll get away in a hurry.
That was just a totally different feel for me. You know, I was used to being able to drive it into the corner as hard as I wanted to, and it didn't work with that. What was the most memorable moment of your rookie year?
I would definitely say my win. Okay. Even over my track championship, just for the fact everybody was there.
Right.
You had Michael there, all the Legends Direct guys. I held my own, was able to stay up front, and that's the reason it beats out the track championship is there was luck involved with the championship. Like this year, you'll be running full time.
Right.
New cars added to the field,
I
and
was gonna say, yeah, we're gonna have at least 4 that I know of. I think of new cars, and I'm sure there'll be more. So
and plus, people that are going to be traveling up now too, that have verbally said that they're going to be there for quite a bit. So, definitely exciting.
Oh yeah,
and I'm ready for it.
If you guys are thinking like it looks dull a little bit just because the camera's probably only picking up the pink, just go to the car shows because there's nothing dull about it by any means. Just the lighting is not picking up what it needs to make it pop. The pink pops, but the other part adds to it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So make sure you go to the Rice Lake Car Show.
Yep.
Right? You guys are going to be at the Rice Lake one?
Yep, I'll be at the Rice Lake Car Show with the 67 car, and I believe Aiden is going to be the third car.
Yep.
That'll be up there. And then there's going to be a slew of us, I think, at the Red Cedar one.
It sounds like there's going to be a lot of them. So that's good. That's cool. I know there's a big difference in driving versus watching, but what is your takeaway from the driving versus the watching, from what you've done?
I pay attention more now. I'll try to focus more on specific drivers and watch what they do in traffic and how they maneuver. And every time after a race night, I come home, I watch videos from whether it's my stepmom filming or going back and watching TV if they were live that night, and every night before I can even go to bed.
So you do a lot more homework now.
Oh yeah, definitely. So,
I mean, that's the biggest thing too, is being able to watch. Like I've always told people, like it. If you're going into turn 1, then your left eye needs to be looking at what's going out of turn 2. Mm-hmm. Kind of deal, and that's something that a lot of new drivers struggle with.
Yeah,
that they get that tunnel vision and
paying too close of attention to the front of their hood versus a few feet out.
Yep.
So,
so what was the transition like moving to a new area with different tracks and?
It's everything in South Dakota is really spread apart. You have Park Jefferson down by Yankton, that southern border, and Huset's is sprint cars and late model street stocks that we don't even see around here.
Right.
Those are their big things. Then you have I-90 Speedway here in Aberdeen, Watertown. Well, Huron's not there anymore, but Miller, and then way out Rapid City. It's off by itself. So,
we're going to put one over here.
And that's the eastern side of the state. You have the cars and the car count, and that's rapid. Unfortunately, it's gone really downhill.
Okay.
They're lucky to pull 30 cars in 5-6 classes. So
what do you think's causing that?
Definitely ownership.
Okay.
Of the track.
Okay.
That and money, and everything's expensive out there.
Okay.
So cost of living is astronomical. So
People just don't have the
yeah, the funds,
extra
yeah,
to go.
And there's quite a few guys out there that they still race and they'll travel and they do what they got to do. Right. But over here, you shake a stick and you're at a racetrack. Right. May's right around the corner, and there's Dairyland Showdown. There's the big mod race down, and those are the same track.
Right.
And then you roll around August, you have USA Nationals, and just there's always something big going on.
Right. Right. Yeah, and Red Cedar now has high limit coming in, so that'll be huge for the area for sprint car world, because really the only sprint car track around here is Cedar Lake.
Yeah, Cedar Lake. So for pulling the big World Outlaws, right. So it's the first time.
I know Eagle Valley, I think, used to run the IRAs, if I remember right. I think that's what they were, but they're not around anymore. So
not on this side of the state, really.
Right.
Well, I think they do they do the show at Cedar still.
Okay.
With IRA.
Yep. I guess like the difference between the racing in South Dakota was it, I watch a lot of flow, and you get down south or eastern, and you get different classes. Were they kind of similar to around here, or did they have some unique?
For the most part, everything over there it's still Wissota country.
Wissota, okay.
So, with the exception of Huset's,
okay.
And then a few of that on that southern border, they're kind of going more IMCA. Just Iowa's right there, and Nebraska, and all their tracks. So, but for the most part, all the bigger, well-known tracks they're Wissota.
Okay. So you got all the same classes and the same.
Yeah, about the only one really different is the late model street stocks at Huset's.
Okay.
So,
do they get a lot of travelers from over this way over there? Do you think? Maybe not a lot, but I mean, I know like Huron, Huron used to have the Wissota 100, so you got along in that way, but.
Yeah. Every now and again, it was for the Challenge Series races and all of that. You never really knew, except for if they were running for points.
Right.
But it's nothing for even today for John Canna to jump in, drive over there, race. Pat Dorr still, not that long ago, I think was up in Aberdeen and won.
Okay.
So you definitely see them over there.
It's good. It's good because, traveling and getting people from outside of that area will hopefully draw the crowd back and, and you're not just going to watch the same 10 people,
Yeah. And that's the hard part with Rapid. It's out on its island by itself. Like there's Gillette, Wyoming's got a track. There's other tracks around, but for the big time Wissota, they're kind of right on that far edge for Wissota.
Right.
And you got to travel at minimum 5 hours to win $500.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't make financial sense there.
Unless you're really, really chasing points and leading the race. So
let's dive into lessons learned and looking back.
I would definitely say you got to be a little more patient. Let things come to me. And I'm still learning. That setup class down in Sun Prairie was awesome. I learned a lot. And can't thank Legends Direct enough for putting that on.
Right.
It's definitely worthwhile to go to, and had a great turnout. I think there was like 89 people that showed up.
Yeah, there was a lot of people down there. I know that.
So
they had the asphalt and the dirt one, so that was.
I think a couple of people from New Mexico, were there, if I remember reading the post right.
Okay.
So.
It's a long haul.
Yeah, for sure.
Long haul. All right.
But it definitely.
No, that was a great thing.
A lot
I
of
went to the one last year, and learned a lot, and then this year learned even more. So
Yep. And I'm excited to definitely get out on the track and start implementing things. Like last year, to be honest, this car is still exactly how I picked it up from Legends Direct. I didn't change a single thing other than tire pressures.
right.
Just getting used to driving the car.
Yep.
And that was Michael's big thing. Don't do anything, just drive.
Yep.
And it's still a little nerve-wracking because I'm not knowledgeable when it comes to that. But that's where that class really helped. And then again, it's Thunder Hill, and if it's just a Storm Series race, it's a Storm Series race.
Right.
What do I really got to lose? As long as I don't look like an idiot and take you out.
Yeah,
Which I tried to do last year.
Racing's racing. I get the biggest thing that I've learned over my years, and I tell people this in the RC racing world too, is don't force the pass. There's so many people that will force a pass, and that's usually where they get into trouble.
Yep.
You know, and it's like, if, like you said, maybe just back off that one corner and kind of regroup and find a different, because there's a lot of people will just drive it underneath somebody, and then you just at that point you're done.
Yep. And that was like the night I got into you.
Right.
I just didn't expect you to check up quite that soon. And if I was committed to the top, then I definitely feel like I would have went right around you.
Probably.
No problem.
Yep.
But it is what it is.
Lessons learned.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think's next for you? You gonna keep sticking with the legend cars? You plan on moving up at some point, or just having fun?
It's a light topic, kind of, and I would say a 3 to 5 year plan. A lot of it's going to depend when the old man decides to hang it up, and kind of depends on where I'm at in life too at that point. And I definitely enjoy it. I enjoy it every minute of it, but you never know.
Right.
So, there's a lot of things that could change next year or by the end of the year.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Who's helped you the most on your racing journey?
I would definitely say Legends Direct.
Not your dad. I like it.
Anything you throw at them, they're going to be straight up honest with you. They're not going to bullshit their way through it.
Right.
And very helpful and driving tips and everything.
Yeah, I can't thank Legends Direct enough for everything that they've done for the racing community up here. The racing community as a whole, but what they have done around Thunder Hill is insane. Being as far away as they were when they started, and now they have a place in Sun Prairie, but for them to be making the drive up here on a Wednesday,
just to be here,
and then willing to help anybody and everybody. They were helping people that didn't even buy cars from them.
Yep.
So,
and there was twice just last year that car was in their stacker going back to Iowa.
Going back home.
So, going back to get fixed. So, and that, they didn't charge us anything. They had to go home, and they just worked out.
Yep.
So.
No, they're just
great people.
Great people. What is your goals for 2025?
Definitely keep the consistency. Out of the 2 wrecks that I had, I think every night I pretty much finished inside the top 5.
You were really consistent.
And I think both those wrecks, it was one probably could have been avoided. The other one, it was a racing deal and things happen.
Right.
But definitely want to just keep the consistency. Yeah. So I'm not shooting to, hey, I want to get 5 wins or anything like that. I really don't care. It's about fun and having fun. Yeah, it's even better when you end up there, but
Right.
it's not expected.
Well, and having fun and being consistent is going to probably win you more races than going there and being like, I need to win,
Yeah.
kind of thing, and getting mad when you get run second or whatever, That's just my opinion, because like if you're really hard on yourself and you're down, then it's hard to focus on what the car needs to get that extra step. But if you're having fun, then you can, you're trying different driving things, or you're out there, you're doing all sorts of different stuff if you're just having fun doing it, kind of thing. And usually you learn more.
And you definitely,
for me,
I've noticed when I get irritated, that's when the mistakes come.
Yep.
And I'm an idiot. So,
yep.
And like I said earlier, everything at Thunder Hill, it's happens quick and in a hurry.
Yep. Yeah, Thunder Hill it's bigger than it was with the go-kart track, but then it still is a tight little bull ring for these.
Yeah.
So
it's a tight little bull ring, but I know we get to Red Cedar, and I'm worried about it being a little too big almost.
Right.
And
but being able to get spread out.
Yeah, we'll see. And that's where Thunder Hill, there's something going on that track no matter the time.
Yeah, and race. I mean, when I was watching at the beginning of like the season there, when Dad was racing our car and I was videoing and watching and doing that kind of stuff, I mean, there was multiple times where you guys were 3 wide. The bottom lane was always seemed to be that little bit quicker lane.
Yeah.
But you could run the 3 wide and it put on a great show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's really what it comes down to, is putting on a show for the fans.
Yeah, exactly. That's what matters the most.
In the weekly stuff anyways, it's fun to go out there and win every week, but it's even funner to get off and you can hear the fan, the crowd cheering with the cars running.
Exactly.
That's insane. So
getting the thumbs up or whatever from the crowd waving, and that's the awesome part with Thunder Hill too. The exit, you drive right in front of the crowd.
Yep, that's awesome.
So,
and all the little kids are right against the fence cheering, and that's a blast. If you could race any car, what would it be?
I would love to strap into a late model, but that's really nerve-wracking. Especially this is the only thing I've even raced. So,
right.
But that would be a lot of fun, I think.
Like a World of Outlaws or just like a local one?
Either one, but
either one has enough horsepower. Right?
Oh yeah, more than enough. We're dealing with crotch rocket motors. So.
Right? If you could race any track, what would that be?
I would definitely say probably the Dome.
Okay.
That.
Legend cars at the Dome?
Oh yeah, legend cars at the Dome.
Make that happen.
Yeah, that'd be a riot. So, and that's tough. My favorite track would be Fairbury.
Okay. I've never been to Fairbury.
I've only actually been there in person once, and it puts on a show.
It puts on one hell of a show on the old iRacing, so I could about imagine in real life.
And the nice thing too is you go down there and they run super late models on a weekly basis.
Okay.
So come time for Prairie Dirt Classic, those guys are competitive.
Right.
They know exactly what they're getting into.
Right.
It's just they're adding 30, 40 more cars to the field.
Right. And the locals actually have a shot.
Yeah, exactly. And most of the time I can't remember, I think it was Miles Moose this year that was quick time for qualifying.
Yep.
And he was pretty good wherever he went, but that's one thing about down there is the super late models and UMP mods, and racing's even wilder down there than it is up here. So tracks are a little further apart, but you get those, and you get the big shows, and it's just another night, just add more cars, and
Right.
you don't know.
It kind of sounds like I need to go to Fairbury.
Yeah. Gray Dirt Classic is a must.
Okay.
So,
How about legend cars on Fairbury?
I haven't really thought about that.
I think
But-
that needs to happen.
It'd probably be a pretty good time.
Right? You could probably get 2 grooves
Oh, yeah.
right there. That inside's pretty tight, isn't it?
Yep. Inside
And
is
it's
real
kind of like
tight.
a reverse
And
bank and
the outside is the wall.
right. That'd be fun. And it's tiny still, right? I mean,
Yeah, I think it's like a quarter mile, if I remember right.
So it's just a little bit bigger than Thunder Hill. I mean, it's bigger than Thunder Hill, but it's not.
Yeah.
The infield would probably be the outside of Thunder Hill.
Yep. Yeah, I went down, was a race trip on a budget. I had a Ford Explorer at the time. Probably, it was 2 years ago. And decided last minute, I was off of work, and screw it, I'm going to go to Fairbury. Threw an air mattress in the back of the Explorer, drove to Fairbury, slept in the Explorer while I was there, and it was a great time. Slept literally right across the street from the racetrack in the back of my car, and
Perfect.
showers right there on ground, so
Don't get much better.
exactly. It's a town of like 500 people until PDC weekend.
Right? Yep. That's kind of how like Huron was.
Yep.
When I was out there for the Wissota 100, the 2 times that I went, it was, the pits were, to get to the racetrack from where you pitted, you were driving down city roads.
Yep.
It was like, all right, we're driving on blacktop. This is this is different.
Now that's a lot like the Dome too. They had a exit from where the pits are and go outside to fuel. And
Yep.
how often do you drive around in St. Louis and all of a sudden there's a dirt late model driving down the street
right next
in
to
the middle of December at that too?
right? For sure. I've never been to the Dome. I would love to go to the Dome.
Yeah.
I really haven't left
I went the very
Wisconsin that much to go.
I went the very first year of the Dome, and then I think it was 2 years ago too that I went down. I took Dad down for his first time, so it's a great time for sure.
I've been to Eldora for the World 100. That was as far
Yep.
away as I've been.
I have not made Eldora yet, so
that was different. It was it's definitely big, wide open, but racy all at the same time.
It's one that gets talked about every year. Of hey, what do you think?
Yep.
But then we get so busy with our own stuff, and again, there's so much going on here within an hour that why travel the 10?
Right. Yep.
So
Yeah, and the only reason why I was able to go that one year really was it got rained out. Because if I remember correctly, they run the World 100 or whatever it is. I think it's the World 100.
the world's after the Dream, so it's later in the year.
Okay, yep. Because that is ran on the same weekend as the...
It was right around Outlaw Nationals, I think.
Nope, it's
no,
right on
no.
the Wisconsin Dirt Track State Championship weekend.
Yep.
So
You're right.
usually, I've never usually been able to go. I've had plenty of opportunities, but I never was able to go. And then that one year it got rained out, and they ran it in October, so I was able to go down with my buddies. So
Yeah, that was. I remember one year I came over. I was back in South Dakota and took the week off because it was USA Nationals week, and I actually came over and then got to looking on Facebook and was like, heck, it's Little Dream too on Tuesday.
okay, yep, up in Rice Lake.
Yep. So I went up to Rice Lake, watched the Little Dream, and if you haven't made that, that's definitely one to go to.
That's a spectacle.
So watch some streeters tear their stuff up for 30 grand to win, but the only time you'll watch a street stalker win 30 grand. So
right. Yeah, that what they've put together up there is incredible And
considering it's pure donation too. That purse is $0 at the start of the night.
Yep.
And they pull the cars every year for it.
Yep.
So
they pull the cars, and then it's neat because like fans can donate, and so all throughout the night you have people just donating. Usually, I would say, we are in Wisconsin, so the liquor kind of helps.
Oh, definitely.
I feel like there's probably a few people that wake up the next morning like, I spent way too much money.
For sure. So, and then after that, I remember I found out the Outlaw Nationals were going on that same week at Thunder Hill. And back in South Dakota, there's go-kart racing, but it's all flat cart, and that's it. There's no wing cart. There's no 250, 500, nothing like that.
So you didn't know what you were getting yourself into when you went out there?
No, I literally had no clue. And I remember bringing it up with my dad. I was like, hey, I'm going to make this whole week going to a race every night. And so Thunder Hills tonight. I'm going. You want to go with? And him on, and he's like, it's only go-karts. But we haven't been there yet.
Right.
Someplace different. Yep. And it's Menominee. It's 15 minutes away.
Right.
So in the pickup we went, and like we were both blown away. It was like, what are these?
We need one. Did they have the 500s when you guys?
Yep.
Okay.
I can't remember who he was from. North Carolina. I want to say his last name was Biscuit or something like that.
Okay. Yep.
And I remember watching him absolutely rip around Thunder Hill, and I was like, that is wild for a go-kart.
Yeah, I know that. I mean, the Outlaw Nationals were always fun because you got those travelers from the Carolinas that would come up and all over the place. Iowa and the Dakotas. You'd pull people from the Dakotas, California. That
Texas.
There was a few people there. And, but yeah, watching the local racers are really, really good, and they're very competitive. But you get those national people that race, even just from down south, that race year round, basically. And just their driving habits were, and I think that really amped Thunder Hills.
Oh, for sure.
Local drivers too.
Yeah.
You really saw them guys all of a sudden they just exploded as to how they were driving, and the weekly shows got better.
Yeah, it blew me away when I was sitting in the stands and I heard they were announcing people from North Carolina. I'm like, for go-kart racing? We don't hardly get that for a big show for a late model, like 10K to win late model race, or you'll see some travelers from the surrounding states, but nothing outrageous.
Right. You don't get it for
and
20
here
hours
these guys, and then here these guys are coming to race a go-kart.
Right.
So, and it sucks to see it go with this year with no Outlaw Nationals, but I'm definitely excited with what they've added to the schedule, and a Bone Shaker Showdown it's really going to be interesting. Really interesting. It's gonna be fun. So,
and I think I've seen a lot of posts on Facebook. I think the Wisconsin dirt track is going to be even bigger. Because I think the majority of your travelers are still going to come up, and they're just going to come up for that. I've seen some Facebook posts of, hey, they're not having the Outlaw Nationals, but they're having this, and it's on a weekend, so we can,
And that's a nice thing too. It's the Wednesdays are tough for any of my family outside of my dad and stepmom and that to get here because they're all back in South Dakota.
Right.
So later in the season, we got the weekend shows, and it frees up the possibility for them to be over, and they're not missing a bunch of work. And
right. Yeah, no, that'll be fun.
But in the same aspect, it's hard to run a go-kart track on a weekend when all the parents are going big car racing. So you have to run them in the middle of the week.
Yeah. I mean, your weekly shows. I think that's really amped up his game. Essentially, is because, like you said, a lot of the people that were coming to Thunder Hill, their parents raced or whatever.
Well, it's nothing to walk through the pits, and I think Hot Carl was there
Yep.
every week.
Yep.
Brooke Tatnell was there
Yep.
quite a few weeks.
Yep.
You name it.
Halumka.
Yeah.
They race. Buzzy
Yep.
Adams.
Beginning of the year, you had Nick Paninsky there with
Yep.
Cam, and hope to see them back. But hey, I get it. One seat time. So
Right. Yeah, I think they went asphalt racing, didn't they?
yep,
Okay. Are you gonna try any asphalt stuff? You think in the Legend?
probably not.
No?
Asphalt's for getting to the track.
All right. I said that at the seminar last week to the asphalt guy that was leading the asphalt one, and
He heard it quite a bit, I think.
I think he did because he was. I could tell he was not that impressed. I was just joking,
Yeah.
but he laid one out that I didn't hear before, and I said asphalt's for getting here, or we used the asphalt to get here. And he was like, yeah, well, we saved the dirt for the farmers. So
Yeah.
I was like, well, okay,
Dirt's for farming.
yeah, I got you. So
Well, that's perfect because Thunder Hill's right in the middle of a cornfield.
right, for sure, with an irrigator.
Yeah. Yep.
You have anything else you want to throw out there?
No, definitely looking forward to the year. If you can make it, Rice Lake Car Show is what day? I think the 21st. Not this weekend, but next. No, 2 weeks.
It's the weekend before Cedar,
The 21st, 22nd.
and then
So-
the Red Cedar Car Show is
Yep, the very following.
the very following.
So my car will be there. The 67 car will. See how it goes up there. Who knows? Maybe we'll get a night up Rice Lake too. That's the hope. Try to grow the legends. The more tracks we get to, the more people we see gets to see them, and you never know who's going to jump in the car.
Right.
So
And if I get time, I'll definitely try to come up and we can wander around. And all right, well let's. I got some fun little questions just to throw out there for you. I guess we'll have to edit this back probably a little bit. But what's your favorite track of all time? Did we already cover that?
that's really tough between the Dome and Fairbury.
Yeah.
So favorite local track would have to be Cedar probably.
Okay. What do you have any pre-race rituals that you do? Superstitions or anything like that?
Not really. Definitely got to have the music turned up and on the way to the track and get pumped up and ready to go. So, but that's really about it.
I'm the complete opposite. I don't turn the radio on. I just zone out and I hum in my car while I'm driving
Yeah,
to keep my composure. Best and worst part of legend car racing.
best part's definitely the community around it. Getting to meet the people. Haven't met a single bad person from it.
Right.
The worst part is hey, it can get expensive in a hurry.
Just like anything.
Yeah, just like anything. It's but
there again, we're still not dealing with $30,000 rollers.
exactly.
So.
Exactly. I don't even have $30,000 sitting into that. So total.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, anything that you want to add? Anything that you want to tell them?
Not really. Like I said earlier, just if you can make it, get out to the car shows and the next couple weeks between Rice Lake, Cedar Lake, or Rice Lake and Red Cedar. Should be a pretty good time and looking forward to the year. A lot of big things happening and get to travel with some new tracks. So
Yeah, that's one thing that I want to touch on. So, you're part of the Rolling Thunder Dirt Legend thing. Where do you think that's going, and what are your expectations about it?
you know, it's definitely to a point where I feel like we could take it as far as we want.
Yeah.
With Red Cedar coming on board, and that was on them. They just did it on their own. They didn't. They talked to Chad and, hey, what's the payout? And all of a sudden we're on the schedule. Like,
Right. Yeah.
oh, okay. Cool.
We still don't totally know exactly how that all happened, but yeah.
So, which is cool, and looking forward to it. And with going up to Rice Lake, the hope is that it sparks some interest up there and add that to the list next year for 2026.
I would like to see, not any necessarily any more weekly shows. I don't want to try to run, like a Wasota points type thing where we're running 3-4 tracks a week. I think that gets to be too much. But I would like to see, because Thunder Hill basically runs every other week throughout the summer, give or take.
Yeah.
So
for the most part, it's
most of the time they're never back to back. They might even take 2 weeks off at some points there, I believe. But so I would, having a track that would fill in a few of those days would be really cool.
And like we've talked about, trying to make it a little mini series and all of that, and we're kind of the same point. It's like, well, how busy do we want to be?
Right.
What else do we want to do in the summertime?
Right.
And
it is still just a hobby.
Exactly. And the more races you go to, the more expensive involved and more wear on tires, and you never know what's going to happen that night. And so I'm definitely excited to get out on Cedar Lake and Red Cedar this year, and even Aberdeen back home. Kind of came out of the woodwork, and all of a sudden they have a legend race, and plan on being there for that. So
I know.
I will for sure be there. So
I know we're heading out there, so that'll be. I mean, that's going to be a fun trip. I think it'll definitely be fun. I've never been out there. I have a sponsor out there that I'm hoping to meet for the first time.
And that's fun. With me, like being from South Dakota, I've been to Aberdeen multiple times to watch races.
So we'll have a good tour guide, is what you're saying.
I don't go that far, but the biggest thing too is all my family's back there for the most part.
I mean, that's going to be huge for you guys.
That I got family right in Aberdeen, an hour from Aberdeen. At most, I think it's like 3 hours.
Okay.
Versus right now, the furthest one away is 9 hours.
Yeah, so they're probably not coming over for a weekly show.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's a 2-day complete show deal each night, and good money's on the line. Should be a lot of cars, because I know there's a lot of legends up in North Dakota.
Good.
So
it'll be fun. It should be a good time for sure. How big is that track?
They call it a third mile. Okay. It's about like Beaver Dam in a sense. Beaver Dam to Cedar.
Okay.
Just walls.
Okay. No walls, high bank?
Yep. Okay. Pretty decent banking. Inside the horse track there on the fairgrounds. So.
And like when we were down to Beaver Dam, that seemed like it was pretty high banking. I wasn't actually out on the racetrack, Dad was, but it seemed like it was pretty high banked and wide corners. But even like the modifieds were only running halfway up. That's kind of where the cushion was, and so there was still only like 2 lanes, which I thought was different from like tracks around here. Like you go down to even Cedar Lake, but then like Mississippi Thunder, and like their corners are massively wide too, but there's people running the bottom and there's people running the fence. So it was a little bit different change for me to see that. It was like, wow.
It's been a long time since I've been to a race in Aberdeen, but there's been nights up there that they're hanging the right rear on the literal edge and making it work and going around.
Hell yeah.
So
that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Let's put a legend car up there.
But it's going to be a little nerve-wracking going over the edge. So.
Right. But the right side Panhard bar is not going to be our friend.
No, the right side, because they're only 4 inches off the ground. I know this year I've hit my running board a fair amount of times. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we're good here. Let's wrap her up and get out of here. So, who do you want to thank?
Definitely Hubco Lifts, and thank you for kind of getting on board with them and getting the design worked out. It's an awesome lift for sure. We've had other brands that they don't even come close.
Right.
So
It's an awesome lift for the price point.
yeah,
And that's what really attracted me to them was that, because it was,
for sure.
it's and they're simple. They're just simple. They just work.
Yep.
It's a great company, great lifts.
Well, yeah. And then gotta thank Legends Direct for all their help and advice. Contan Tattoo, Synergy Cooperative, my family that backs me, and everything you do too is on the YouTube side and trying to get people in, and
That's all we're trying to do.
you never know who's going to see this YouTube.
Right.
So
We're just trying to grow it.
exactly.
Trying to grow a fun local community and have some fun.
Yep, exactly. That's what we're out there to do. And Dad and I both said, as soon as it's not fun, see you later.
Right.
We're done.
Yep. For sure. Well, I appreciate your time and